discovered in America. In that year and the one that followed, prospectors from all over the world flocked to California to seek their fortunes in the Great Gold Rush.
2 years later, in sleepy Budding Grove near Ballarat, Victoria, another gold rush began.
Till then, the main visitors to Ballarat had been sheep, but with the discovery of gold in 1851, people came from everywhere in the hope of finding quick riches.
They came from England, Ireland, Germany, Italy, America and China, as well as parts of Australia. Sailors deserted their ships, shopkeepers left their stores, and servants ran away from their masters. Set up their tents and began digging in the hard ground in search of gold. Everyone was equal: gentlemen, labourers, farmers, ex-convicts and sons of noble men.
The work was hard, and many miners gave up after a couple months and returned home, still poor. Others were luckier and found huge nuggets worth more money than they'd ever imagined. By law, Queen Victoria owned all the land in Australia, and the governor decided that the privilege of mining and keeping the gold they found the miners should pay a license fee of 30 shillings a month.
The license fee had to be paid to by all miners, whether they found gold or not. If the miners thought it was unfair, especially the unlucky ones, the Gold Commissioner sent troopers after the miners to make sure they had all the licenses. This has caused a good deal of ill feeling, and often fights broke out.
Later, at a public meeting on Bakery Hill, the miners formed the Ballarat Reform League and sent a deputation to the governor demanding the right to vote, better conditions, and the abolition of license fees. The governor refused their demands. Instead, he sent soldiers and mounted police to Ballarat to enforce the law. The miners responded by building a stockade to separate themselves from the police and troopers. They armed themselves against a possible attack, elected Peter Lalor as the leader, and burned the licenses.
At the stockade, the miners raised their new flag featuring the Southern Cross on a blue background. The flag became known as the Eureka flag. The soldiers called on the miners to leave the stockade, but they refused to do so. At dawn on Sunday, December 3rd, the troops attacked the stockade, and in the firing that followed, at least 30 miners were killed.
With the exception of Peter Lalor, who escaped during the fighting, the leaders of the miners were later tried for treason, but the charges were dismissed by the court and the men allowed to go free. Following this, monthly licence were dropped, and for a fee of £1 a year, the miners were given the right to vote and mine for gold. In 1855, Peter Lalor was elected to the Victorian Parliament, where he represented the interests of the people of Ballarat, and he brought about many improvements in their conditions. The men who died at Eureka retained a unique place in Australian history. A monument to their memory now stands at Ballarat.